well. So out here today, driving around, trying to find a river to fish. Had a ton of rain, the river is really high, blown out obviously. I'm just looking for really soft water, kind of like behind me right here. Some softer water, but it's tough fishing today, guys. So we might head up to a different river and see if we can find some better water. Alright guys, before we get into this video, I just want to share something with you. So, as a Christian, a follower of Jesus, it's my duty to share the gospel out there. And a lot of people don't know Jesus Christ. So I'm just going to read a little passage here from, this is Romans 5:8. So, but God demonstrates his own love toward us in that while we are still sinners, Christ died for us. So, for those of you who don't know, Jesus Christ died on the cross, crucified, so that we could live a sinless life. And we could do things like this, enjoy the outdoors, enjoy nature, because Christ created us and he died to save us. So in that, I just want you guys to know that. And if you guys have any interest in this, pick up a Bible, start reading, and learn about our great Jesus Christ who created you and gave us this beautiful life that we have. So anyway, back to the video, guys. Alright guys, so made it down here to a different river. And as you can see, this river looks much better. Still off-colored, but definitely way better. The other river was completely mud. I couldn't really see down more than maybe a couple inches. This one we probably got 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet of viz. So gonna focus on hitting soft inside seams, little backwater, soft water where these fish are gonna be resting out of the main current, and areas with a little bit more visibility is what I'm gonna search for. But we made it. We found a river that is more fishable, and my confidence went from, down here to up here. So we should be a good day, guys. All right, so I'm gonna rig up a pink worm. I love fishing worms when the water's colored up. Bright, big, bright presentations. There's a worm there I'm gonna start off with. That pink with the chartreuse tail, always a killer in high water. So how I'm going to rig this is, these are the Addicted brand of worms, so these are a 6-inch worm out of the package. In the lower clear water, I take that and snip it almost in half. Usually I fish a 3 to 4 inch worm, but water's so high and colored up, I'm going to go ahead and fish a full 6-inch worm, which is something a lot of people don't do. So, going to get this rigged up here. Running a 12-pound leader, which today in these conditions I could run way heavier. I always fish lighter leader than I probably need to. In these conditions I could probably fish a 20-pound fluorocarbon and have no problem with the fish seeing it. So I'm just going to pull a jig head out. Little 1/8 ounce jig head. Might run a 1/4 ounce too because the flows are so heavy. Sometimes a little bit bigger of a jig head on your worm is going to slow down your presentation and keep it down in the strike zone. Tie simple fisherman's knot, 12-pound fluorocarbon on that jig head. I'm going to thread this worm on. Now this just takes practice, and you just gotta line it up and see. Try and figure out where that hook's going to come out. Stab it into the worm. Run it through, poke it out. Try to get it as straight as possible. And then we're going to take this leader here and tie it onto my float rod. Got a 1/2 ounce bobber. Bobber stop up my line, a little bead to protect it. Down here I've got a weight to balance out that bobber. This is a 1/2 ounce bobber. That's about a 3/8 ounce weight. And then add this 1/8 ounce jig head to it. It balances out pretty good. So I'm just going to tie this leader onto my little swivel here. I have a 3-way system, little swivel there I can tie my leader onto. You can run whatever weight you want. A lot of guys will run the inline weights. I like that in the lower clear water. But in the higher water, I run this Dave's Tangle Free system with that ball weight on there. So if I put a bead on here, I can let that weight drag. I can let this weight drag on the bottom and kind of bobber dog it. All right, so that's our setup: a sliding bobber, that weight to balance it, 12-pound fluorocarbon, and a full 6-inch worm because the water's so colored up. All right, guys, so now I got my setup. So when I look out at the river, I'm looking for the slower water. So it's hard to tell on the camera, but you got faster water the further we go out. But right in here next to the bank, it's a lot slower, a lot softer water. So I'm gonna start, because that's gonna be shallower, I'm gonna start with my bobber stop right at my stop. And I'm just gonna kind of flip this out here. And you can see that's much slower water through there. Probably too far inside. But the closer I'm in, the slower the water is. And that's where these fish are going to be hanging out. They're not going to be out in that fast stuff. They're going to be in the slower water, tucked on the inside. Ooh, there's a bobber down. I don't know if you saw that, but my bobber just sunk there for a second. There's a lot of cutthroat on this river, and those cutthroat love these big worms. You would think it's crazy that you catch little tiny cutthroat on these big worms like this. Alright, so I fished that last spot pretty good. Didn't see anything. I had one good bobble, probably a trout. So I moved upriver. Another spot here you can see fast water on the other side, and then on this inside right in here, slow water, nice walking speed water. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to pound that to death. Drain. First cast in there, that bobber just, you might have been able to see it. Now I'm tangled up in the bushes, I gotta get it out. My goodness, see, fishing when the water's up high, I'm standing in the bushes, set the hook, and now I'm all tangled up. Am I breaking a law right now by eating a banana while steelhead fishing? Fishing in general, but you know the old saying. Doesn't make a difference to me. So this here is a beautiful looking hole I stumbled upon. You can see it's much slower. Basically a run up here and just a nice hole through here into the tail out. You can see that soft water on the other side right through here. This stuff here is a little boily, but I might fish it. But that nice walking speed water out there, that looks beautiful. Found a sweet jig sitting on that rock up there. And what I'm gonna actually do is I forgot my shrimp up in the car. I'm gonna leave my gear here, so hopefully no one comes down here, but I haven't seen anybody all day. Run up to the car, grab my shrimp, tie on this jig that I found, put a big old glob of shrimp on it, fish it through this hole, and see if it works out. You know, the river gives and the river takes. So, all right, guys, got the jig tied on. I'm gonna grab a piece of shrimp here. Bust a little piece off. I'm gonna use a pretty good sized chunk. Gonna toss this out here.